What's up, man? This is a recording from the MenProvement Podcast. To see all podcasts, go to MenProvement.com, the #1 self-improvement resource strictly for men. And while you're there, get a copy of your free ebook, How to Triple Your Testosterone Naturally. See the links below for more information and enjoy.
Ready to take your life to the next level? Then you're in the right place. Get all the information you need to be better, improve everything, and live life like a pro. This is the MenProvement Podcast with Sean Russell.
Welcome back to the show, guys. The last couple of weeks have been absolutely awesome. I just want to thank everyone who listens to the show, and I want to thank everyone who has contacted me with great ideas and with praise and telling me how much you guys are enjoying these episodes, because that's what it's all about. That's what gives me the motivation to get up every day and contact as many people as I can to get on the show, to really put in the time to make the production value good. And it's just so motivating to hear that you're taking this information and going out and seeing results in your life. I've been getting emails and phone calls and tweets from guys who are just making incredible progress, and it's so impressive. Like, I wish I knew you guys personally and we could hang out, because it's absolutely incredible to see the things that you're doing and see you take information and actually put it into practice, because not everyone does that, and it's really refreshing to see it happening. And I want to thank everyone who has submitted a review on iTunes. I know I asked for reviews a couple episodes back, and I just want to thank everyone who has submitted reviews. There's some fantastic reviews there, and it has boosted us up in the rankings, and it's awesome. And the higher we are in the rankings, the better guests I can get you, and eventually we can be having more than one episode a week with incredible people, possibly even as big as The Rock and other celebrities. I would love to be able to do this. So if you left a review, thank you. If you want to leave a review, you can do that at iTunes, and it's going to help grow this show and make it even better. Today I've got Sean Ogle on the show from SeanOgle.com. He runs a company and blog called Location 180, where he teaches people how to build a business they can run from anywhere in the world. I know that many of you listening to this work a 9-to-5 job, and if you love what you do, then that's fantastic. I commend you. But I know that most of my clients, and pretty much 90% of people that I know, work a 9-to-5 job that they hate, and they're miserable, and they want more out of life. And if this is not the life you want, or if you're in college and this doesn't sound good to you, I'm telling you right now, straight up, that independent business. And today, that's exactly what we're going to talk about. We're going to dive in with Sean and talk about how he went from a 9-to-5 job to a business that he can run in Thailand, in Cali, in Brazil, and wherever he wants. And he makes a lot more money than he ever could working a 9-to-5 job. Imagine waking up on an exotic island next to a beautiful girl and just having to jump on your laptop to work from the beach. This is possible, and we're going to learn more about this in future shows, because it's a topic that I really want to cover. It's what I experienced in my life, and I know so many people want the same for their lives. And I'm telling you, it's not as hard as people think. So I want to give you all the tools to achieve this. And I'll have an exclusive offer about this after the show. So stick around for that, because it is truly, truly life-changing. So let's jump right into the show. This is how to build a business that you can run from anywhere in the world with Sean Ogle. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Sean Ogle. Is it Ogle? I hope I'm pronouncing it right.
Yeah, you got it.
All right. I'm here with Sean Ogle from SeanOgle.com and Location 180. He's a traveling entrepreneur who quit his 9-to-5 years and years ago, and now he's traveling the world and absolutely crushing it. And I'm here to learn how he did it so we all can emulate him. What's up, Sean?
How's it going, man? I appreciate you having me on the show.
Absolutely. I can't tell you how excited I am to talk to you. I was just telling you all about how I look up to you and I want to be doing exactly what you're doing. So I'm really interested to hear your backstory and how you got to where you are today.
Totally. So I left my job a little over 5 years ago. I was like super average, normal upbringing, went to college, went to the school I thought I was going to go to, studied finance, got offered a job right out of school. So I worked as a financial analyst for a couple of years, and I realized really quick that suit and tie and the office with the view and all that stuff kind of sucked and wasn't actually what I wanted to do. So I ended up taking a trip to Rio for Carnival in February 2009. My best friend and I went down there and just had the time of our lives. I mean, hang gliding over Rio. We danced in the Carnival parade. We went down to Iguazu Falls. And the day I got back, we're in middle of the recession, so things are rough for any financial firm. And my boss was basically like, we could fire you or we could give you a 20% pay cut. And so I took the pay cut, and that was kind of my sign. It was like after that trip, getting that pay cut, I was like, I got to figure something out. And that's when I started Location 180, and this whole thing kind of was set in motion.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I came from the same way. Typical college, graduated, got a mechanical engineering job, realized that I absolutely hated it, didn't want to sit at a desk anymore, so I started hustling and starting MenProvement on the side. So let's talk about how you started off. What gave you the idea to start a blog, and was that your first step?
Yeah. So basically what happened, I got back from that trip. My buddy, he ended up quitting his job 3 weeks later, took off to Hawaii. And he's like, I'm just going to kick it in Hawaii. I'm going to work it as a cabana boy at a hotel. I'm going to tread even on money and basically save up to get ready to take a world trip the following January. So he was doing that in like 8 months. And around that time, I stumbled across a guy named Chris Guillebeau. So he's got a blog called The Art of Nonconformity. Now he's like New York Times bestselling author, and found out that he had just moved to Portland. And he's writing about unconventional living. He had his own goal of traveling to every country in the world by the time he was 35. And I'm looking at this guy. I'm sitting in my office. I read every single blog post he had written in a day while I was sitting at work. And so I moved to Portland. So I shot him an email, said, hey, is there any chance I could buy you a cup of coffee? And he said yes. So I went and met with him, and he was like, I think you should start a blog. Start writing about all the stuff you're going through and your kind of quarter life crisis, so to speak. And so that's what happened. I started Location 180, and I started writing about all sorts of random stuff, like past vacations I'd taken, the benefits of daydreaming, happy hour of the week here in Portland. I mean, just writing about whatever until I kind of found my niche a little bit. And over the course of the next 6 months, I found out, turns out there was a lot of people that were going through the same thing I was. They got, their regular job out of school wasn't what they expected it to be, and were trying to make a change. And so that was kind of how I built my following. And 6 months after starting it, I quit my job, and 2 months later, I took off for Thailand.
Wow, so that was fast. And yeah, there's millions of guys who are going through that still right now. Half of my friends, they consult me about this stuff, and it's tough. It's tough to consult. So within 6 months, you quit your job, because starting MenProvement, I know how competitive it is out there and how hard it is to monetize and start a blog. So were you making money at the end of 6 months?
Not really. So basically what happened is I quit my job. My boss came up to me like 2 or 3 months into starting the blog. It was like May or June or something of 2009. And he said, hey, Sean, if you can think of any creative ways to save the company money, I want to hear about it. So I'm like, all right, like I can come up with something. I'm a creative guy. And, so like a month later, I come up with this idea. I was like, I'll tell you what, you let me, work remotely for 3 months from Hawaii, and I'll take a 50% pay cut. And so I put together this whole proposal. It was like, it's going to make the company more secure because we'd have to figure out how to do the remote work arrangement. I was going to open us up to a new client base, all this stuff. And so they thought about this for, over a month, and kind of made me think that, there was a chance. And finally, one day, my boss calls me into his office and he says, hey, Sean, we want to talk about this. He basically said, we've decided not to accept your proposal, but we will accept this as your resignation. So I was totally caught off guard. I wasn't planning on leaving. And, we had more conversations after that, and I could have saved my job. But I finally said, you know what, there's never going to be a right time. So peace, I'm out. I'm going to go and do this thing on my own. And so basically what led to Thailand was the next week I wrote about it, and a guy that reads my blog, his name is Dan Andrews. He's got a site now called the Tropical MBA. So it's tropicalmba.com. He was like, I'm looking to bring an American guy out to Asia. I'll pay your basic living expenses, $800 a month. You come out here, you work for me part-time. I'll teach you internet marketing, and the rest of the time you can work on your own stuff. So randomly in January, I flew to Bangkok and met this random dude from the internet at 1 a.m. at the airport. And it ended up being the best decision I ever made. So,
wow.
So I wasn't really making money with the blog, but that kind of helped kickstart it. And not too long after that, I started to make more money. That's
an awesome story. And it's like some people would call that a lucky break, but the way I see it is you were making moves. You had a goal. You actually started something. So many people, they want to leave their jobs. So many people that I know personally, they want to leave their jobs, and they never take a footstep forward to doing it. So you started your blog on the side. You started it for 6 months. Were you coming home from work and working on it at night, or were you actually working on it at work like I was?
No, I wasn't working on it at work all that much. Occasionally I was checking stats and whatever, but I'd work on it on my lunch breaks. I'd work on it after work. I'd work on it before work, on the weekends. So a lot of people tell me I'm lucky as well, and I've been lucky, and totally true. Like,
Fortune
you have to
favors the bold, man.
You have to have some breaks in order to make it, but at the same time, like, I put myself in the position to be lucky. Like, I worked my ass off for those 6 months to get everything going, and for the last 5 years I've continued to work my ass off in order to maintain this lifestyle and grow the business. So yes, there's something to be said about luck, but at the same time, it's the hard workers and the people that actually like take action that tend to be the ones that get lucky. Absolutely.
I find, like, the idea for MenProvement, I find when you align your thoughts and your beliefs and your actions, I'm sure you believed 100% that you get out of this job. You were thinking about it all the time and you were working your ass off. That's when things happen. That's when you start to notice things fall into place, or the law of attraction, as they say, starts to work its magic. And it sounds like it worked perfectly for you. So you went to Thailand, and I hear so much about Thailand. I'm very interested in heading over there myself, or Bali. I'm not sure. Have you been to Bali?
I lived there for 2 months, actually.
Yeah, so I'm interested to hear about Thailand, not from reading an article, but from a guy who's been there. How cheap can you really live comfortably, and what's it like for an American being there?
So to give people an idea, when I left my job, I had about 10 grand at the bank. And I was terrified that I wasn't going to be able to support myself. You hear these stories about, how cheap it is. But the reality is I could live off $1,000 a month, no problem. I left with 10 grand in the bank, and my bank account never dipped below that. And that was all in. That was my apartment in Bangkok. That was going out 4 or 5 times a week with friends. That was traveling once a month plus down to the islands or over to the Philippines or down to Bali. That's the cool thing about Southeast Asia, is it's so accessible. But frankly, like, it's, as a white American, especially if you've never, traveled outside the States or traveled to Asia before, it's kind of like Asia, or at least Bangkok is kind of like Asia on training wheels. You can always get by with basic English or with English. Most people can speak enough to, understand what you're saying. You can get dollar pad thai anywhere you go. My apartment was $200 a month, and, not the like nicest of neighborhoods, but it, wasn't the worst of neighborhoods either. Mm-hmm. Relatively central. And one of the coolest things is, once you get over there, you realize that it's much easier to meet people, that I found, because you can go to any bar, you can go to any restaurant, you can go to a co-working space. And if you see another white dude, like, all you have to do is walk up to him and be like, "Hey, where are you from?" And then, immediately, one way or another, you're going to have some kind of connection from there. And so it's like, if you walk up to some random person at a bar in the States and you're like, "Hey, where are you from?" They're going to be like, "Who are you? Get out of here." But almost without fail, every time I've been in Asia and I've tried to start a conversation with someone, it's been super easy. And usually if they're over there, they're doing something relatively interesting as well. So it's easier to meet people. It's also easier to meet people that are doing cool things. So when I was living in Bangkok, there was a group of probably 20 or 30 of us that were all doing variations of the same thing. So we had a great crew that was all working out of the same co-working space, and we'd go out and we'd travel around together. So it was really a cool time. And, that was Bangkok in 2010. And I know now, I don't know as many people there, but I know in like Chiang Mai and Saigon, actually Vietnam, where I was last week, there's just, a massive expat lifestyle entrepreneurship scene. So there's definitely places you can go and find, a crowd of similar minded people.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Traveling is it's fascinating. And I was actually supposed to interview Wandering Earl from wanderingearl.com this morning, but he didn't show up. But hopefully I get him on the show soon.
Man, you're just having a tough time with that these days, aren't you?
I know, right? These travelers, I just think they're above everything. But I got to ask you, what is it like being American with the women over there? Because I hear things that like you can walk around the street and it's like you're a god. But I don't know if I believe that.
It really depends on where you are. Certain places, they won't give you a second look, and certain places, they're all about it. So for instance, like Hong Kong, for instance, like I, have never noticed, local girls there being any more interested than anyone else. It's also a big expat scene. You go to Manila, you go to the Philippines, and you're like a god walking around.
That's what I hear. Yeah, that's what I hear.
So it just depends on the culture. And pretty much the whole time that, save for a couple months, the whole time I was living in Asia, I actually had a girlfriend back home. So I can't give you too many stories about all that stuff, but I definitely know from friends and just being over there, what the scene's like.
It's all right, man. We need to jump into brass tacks anyway. So what you do now, you make a living teaching people how to do what you do. I love your tagline, and it's how to do the stuff you keep saying you'll do one day. And I know people all know what that's like. So how can someone who's listening to this, who is not particularly happy at their job, how can they emulate what you did? What's the first step, or how many steps are there?
Yeah, so it's kind of like a 3 or 4 step process, depending on how you look at it. The first 2 steps kind of go hand in hand. And basic, like number 1, you got to build the relevant skill sets. You said you went to college, you studied mechanical engineering. I studied finance. Frankly, I didn't learn any really tangible, valuable skills that I could make money from right away when I was at university. So things like copywriting, how to use WordPress, social media for business, basic design, search engine optimization, all of these things that, you can, there's a huge demand for them online. And if you're running a website, you doing MenProvement, you've got to have an idea of it doesn't matter what you do. Like if you can't write a good headline for your blog post, you're not going to get as many people to click on it.
Yeah.
So step number 1 is learning those fundamental skills. And I think one of the best ways to do that is by starting a blog. So I would not be where I am today had I not started Location 180. It's basically, it gives you a platform with which to reach like-minded people. It gives other people a way to find you, gives you a way to potentially make money, to build your reputation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it also helps you build up all of those necessary online skills. So that's kind of, step 1 and 2 is build the skills by starting a website.
Yeah, I just want to comment on that it's amazing. And I recommend to anyone who's listening to this, even if you don't want to travel the world or you're home with the wife and kids, starting a website it's almost like going to become a necessity in the world just to compete, because you are your own brand. I'm big into this, that you are your own personal brand, and you just having your own .com or .me in your name, building a little website or paying someone to do it for $500 and having the ability for people to contact you or network with you and things like this is amazing. And then you could take it to the next step. Like you said, I know people who have wrote like a 60-page ebook, and I wrote a 70-page book the other day in one sitting. So this doesn't take that much. Anyone can become an expert on anything. There's so much information out there now. So there's people, they call it, you can either be like an expert or you can be a journalistic expert. So you can learn from other people, and it's almost what I do. I'm half as half. I started as a journalistic expert, and now I am forming my own ideas, and I'm teaching people myself as a coach. But
and one of the things that I like to use is the term relative expert. So like Jimi Hendrix is like an expert at guitar. You don't have to be Jimi Hendrix to be able to teach people how to do things or provide people a service. You need to be an expert relative to the person that you're helping. So, you can get into like, say, copywriting, and you don't have to be, the best copywriter in the world. You just have to be better than the person that's asking you to write their sales page or write their about page or whatever. So I think that's a big hurdle people have when they get started, is like, who's going to hire me to do this? But if you spend, say, 3 to 6 months learning those skills and doing it, you're going to know more than the average person and really have a lot of value to add to them.
Yeah, and it's incredible. And back to my example was one of the guys that I interviewed early on. The show was called How to Lose Your Virginity, because he was having trouble in his sex life at an old age, and then he figured out how to lose his virginity on online dating, and he teaches men to do that. And he wrote a book on it. And it's a very interesting example, but he was making over $100 a day on this ebook, and he didn't even have his own website. He was just advertising it on Good Looking Loser. And now he has his own website, and I don't even know how much money he's making, but you could publish books like this on Kindle. So you could be making $3,000 a month in, some people get very lucky in that sense in a month, or you can, like in my state, I didn't make any money for the first year really on my website, because I went straight blog style. I didn't have a product. I still don't have a product. I actually just came out with my first $20 ebook the other day, but it's not even launched yet. But that's a year and a half. And I went the advertising route and the affiliate marketing route, which I think takes a little longer. But you may have a unique skill set that you don't think you can put into a package and sell, but you probably could. You probably surprise yourself. And if this is something you really want to do, I totally agree with you that starting a blog would definitely be the first step. Even if it takes you 2 years to get there, it's better than in 2 years you starting then. You know, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. And I love that. So
yeah, and it's definitely one of those things where it's not like a be all end all. So just by doing it, even if you don't turn it into a business or anything like that, it's going to be valuable for other reasons. I mean, you're able to start to like hone what your interests are. You know, it took me a couple years of writing to figure out that, you know, kind of location independence and traveling and entrepreneurship was kind of my like niche. At the same time, you know, it gives you an opportunity for, like I mentioned this a little bit, people to reach out to you. So when I started my site, the very first thing I published was my bucket list. So I was like, man, I'm not doing anything in my life. Like it was after this trip to Rio where I was like, I want to do more cool stuff like that. So I published my bucket list of all the stuff I wanted to do. And like a year later, one of the things that was on my list was I wanted to golf at Augusta National. And, you know, it's the hardest golf course in the world to get on. And one of my readers hit me up and he was basically like, Sean, I can't get you on the course, but how'd you like to be my guest at the Masters this year? And I went down and we went to the Masters, like, you know, had an amazing time. And then you invited me back the next year. And so had I not started that blog, you know, that connection never would have been made. You know, had I not started the blog, you know, Dan would have never reached out to be like, hey, come move to Thailand and work with me. So, you know, it opens up doors. It helps you kind of refine your skills and it just makes good things happen, you know, generally speaking.
It does. Yeah. And I would love to personally have an episode on this myself, telling how I built MenProvement to 15,000 people a day and all this. So if you guys who are listening are interested in this, definitely email me or tweet us at MenProvement or Sean at menprovement.com and let me know if that's the kind of stuff you want to hear.
I'm just going to throw this out there right now.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to hear that, myself included.
All right. Yeah.
It's a good story.
Yeah, I would love to tell it. And I planned on doing this, but I didn't want to turn this into I listen to tons of blogging and marketing podcasts, and then I listen to dating podcasts and then self-improvement podcasts. I didn't want to turn this into like a marketing podcast, but I'm sure people would be interested in it. So that's step 1 and 2. So what's the next step?
Okay, so step number 2, and this is the one most people skip because so many people, you know, they hear this, you know, these stories of passive income and traveling around, making $1,000 a day, living the life. And that's sexy. I mean, like, who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want to be able to just like sit back with the, you know, umbrella drink sitting on the beach and have money roll in? The reality is all of those businesses, generally speaking, it takes a very specific skill set and they're very hard to create. And so most of the people I know that jump straight to, you know, those types of businesses, they end up getting frustrated, failing, and going back to their day job. So step number 2 is picking one of those skills you learned and freelancing it online. And so what this is going to do is it's going to enable you to build income and confidence, which are essentially the 2 most important things in my mind. If you get to the point where you start this up in a month and a half, you're making $1,000 a month on your own, doing your own thing, like that's going to make you feel really good. That's going to help you build the confidence to know you can support yourself longer term with it. And then you can scale up from there. But, you know, examples of this would be like freelance writing. You know, I think that's the easiest one, and probably 70% of the people I work with do some sort of freelance writing because generally speaking, you probably already have the skills. It's the easiest way to make money online. And there's a huge demand for it. So it's not sexy. I mean, it's not like it's passive income, like you're gonna have to work towards it, but you can do that work from your home office, or you can do it from Thailand, or you can do it from London, or wherever you want. And that's a pretty cool thing. So, you know, I would tell people, rather than starting a business around your passion, start a business that enables you to do your passion. So I spent 2 years doing freelance SEO. Am I super passionate about SEO? Not really, but that let me travel and golf 4 times a week and have all these crazy adventures that I wouldn't have had otherwise. So that's step number 2.
Yeah, that's a really great tip because, you know, you were doing that, and that's why you were able to get out and work and leave within 6 months and go to Thailand. When me, on the other hand, I never did any freelance stuff. It was just saved money, worked. And if people went and they left this podcast to start a blog thinking they would just start a blog and make money over in like a matter of months, like I said, it could happen with the proper ebook and the right style and marketing, but it's probably going to be a long haul. But if you're freelancing, like writing, that's something I'm very interested in, actually. You could make money right away. What's the rates for freelance writing? Because I'm pretty affluent now when it comes to writing, and it would be nice to make a little bit of extra change.
Yeah, I mean, it's all over the map. I mean, if you're a really good copywriter and you can be persuasive with your words and you can write sales pages that convert, I mean, people will pay thousands of dollars for that. On the other, end of the spectrum, you can do SEO writing. So you're basically writing short 300 to 500 word blog posts for SEO companies specifically so they can just get a link back to their site. And for something like that, for a 300 to 500 word article, I think $15 an article is kind of a good starting point. And usually when you're doing that kind of stuff, once you really get proficient with it, you can, probably bang out 2 to 3 in an hour. So even though $15 an article doesn't seem like much, your hourly rate could be closer to $30-$45.
Yeah. And where are you putting those articles on your site or other? You just doing them for them?
All over the map where like how they use it, but usually SEO companies, you'll just submit the article to them and they'll figure out what to do with it. Whether they're putting it on kind of an article farm like eZine or something like that, or they're putting it in a private blog network, or they're using it on their clients corporate blog or whatever it is. It's kind of all over the map. But once you start getting into blogging for these clients and things like that, you can up your rates.
Yeah, it's interesting because like you said, I can write a 500 word post in like 10 minutes now. It's crazy, but
exactly. The hard part is with that type of writing, you have to write based on what they want. So I mean, it could be anywhere from a client that sells tennis balls to set-top cable boxes to iPad cases. So I was writing about valet podiums at one point. The key boxes were basically people put your keys when you go to a nice restaurant. So I mean, it's all over the map.
Nice, man. So what's the next step?
So that's step number 2. Step number 3 is that's when you start applying it to your own project. So you got some money coming in. You know that you can support yourself. You've built up this skill set. That's when you start doing the things that you really want to be doing. Maybe that's where you start taking that blog you started in step number 1. You start taking that more seriously. You start creating information products or getting heavy into affiliate marketing. Maybe you've always wanted to create an app. Maybe, you love surfing. So you're going to create a surfboard e-commerce store or something like that. All of those things that take some skill to build up, they take some time, but once you've got everything dialed, it can be that source of passive income that everybody's looking for. So for myself, about 3 years in, I created Location Rebel. So that's my online community where I teach people how to do this stuff. And so we've got over 1,000 members in 40 different countries now. And I also started a golf affiliate site. So basically I love to golf, so I started a site where I can make money doing that. You just kind of keep going from there.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Location Rebel is really cool. I actually opted in the other day and I got your free book and I was checking it over and some really, really great stuff in there. And something just popped into my head when when you were talking about making a site again as an affiliate marketer is if anyone's listening who's a personal trainer, like things like this, and you don't have a website, then like you're doing yourself such an injustice. So things like this in any field where you do work for yourself, you should have a website because it can literally triple your business and credibility. So I just wanted to throw that in there. But yeah, definitely check out Location Rebel because it's a membership program you said that just teaches people everything, right?
Yeah, so it's one-time fee. It's $500, and then you're a member for life. So what's cool about that is we have people that joined 3 years ago that they really feel like that community is one of their big stepping points and one of their big reasons for success. And so now they've got 6-figure businesses, and they still come back in and help all the new people. So you've got everyone from the person that's built it up, has a successful business, is traveling the world, to the person that's still in their day job, just getting started, has no idea what to do. And I think it's a cool community and kind of unique in that way.
Cool, man. So I don't think there's too much more I want to ask you on the business end. I hope this inspired people to maybe look into this more if you want to travel the world and live this life. But I want to talk a little bit more about your life and your philosophies and everything. I noticed that on your site, I was checking over some of your articles, and one of them was called, Finding Your Quest and How It Will Make Your Life 10 Times Better. So I was wondering, what's your quest?
So I've got a couple different quests. As I mentioned, one of the first quest of sorts started with my bucket list. So I hate that term, but it really is what it was. Like I created the list of all the stuff I wanted to do in life. So, I created that almost 6 years ago now. And since then, I've knocked off 30, 35 things, everything from, smoking a cigar in Cuba to speaking in front of a large group of people, working from a tropical island, building a business, you name it, all of these different things. And, I think that having a purpose and having, something to kind of, work towards is important, especially when you're working for yourself, because it can be really easy to slack off and to just kind of rest on your laurels. And I think that, having that greater purpose and continuing to push yourself to do interesting things and create cool stories is really important. So, since then, about a year and a half ago, I created a new goal where I wanted to play the top 100 golf courses in the US and in the world. So I've been traveling all over the place playing golf lately. And so that's kind of my more recent quest on top of the bucket list.
Nice, man. Yeah, I 100% think that having a quest and a purpose is so important, almost to the point where if you don't have one, then you're not really living. You're not a man. And I know a lot of people who contact me and a lot of my clients, they don't know what their purpose or their passion is in life. And I like to tell, my go-to purpose or passion for people is to just be the best version of yourself. And that starts the roller coaster, So
totally. So what's an example of a quest in your life that you're working on?
Quest in my life? God, I guess you could talk about the tangible numbers quests, which are to actually build MenProvement to over 100,000 visitors a day. And then I have the quests of becoming, one of the biggest and most well-known self-help speakers and coaches in the world. And just essentially to just live my life as freely and as fully while giving back as much as I possibly can. That's my quest. And I'm looking at it right now, taped to the wall.
Nice. I like the combination of. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
I like the
ahead,
combination of, kind of lifestyle, aspirational, I want to be the best version of myself. I want to help as many people as I can, while also having the tangible number side of things. So it's I want 100,000 visits a day. And so that's that can kind of help keep you on track and help you, make sure that you are working towards it while still not losing sight of the bigger picture, which is just doing the stuff you love and helping people in the process. So I like that.
Yeah, for sure. And then I've got it all broken down into what I need to do each day to get there and everything like this. I talked about this so many times on this podcast, and it's just so important to have your goal and be so clear about it. The more clear you can be, the better. The more you know how you're going to get there, even if it takes you 3 years, the better. And the more you're visualizing it every single day and putting yourself in the end when you already accomplished it, feeling what it's like to be there and then living your life as that person. It's just beautiful. It's beautiful.
Totally. And one thing I'll add to that. So if you're thinking about creating your own quest or creating your own, bucket list or anything like that, one thing to keep in mind is you need a combination of, things to tick off. So it's if all of the things you want to do if all the things you want to do are similar to get 100,000 visitors to your website in a day, you're going to get really frustrated because that's a very, very difficult thing to do. So you need to have the long-term, this is where I want to be in 10 years kind of thing, to the thing you can get done on a Saturday. So, for instance, one of the things on my list is I want to create a list of my top 100 albums of all time. That's something all I got to do is sit down and do it. But if I ever find myself where I'm struggling to get stuff done and I'm not making progress, I can go to something like that, bang it out, and kind of get myself back on track. There's a couple golf courses on my list that are within a 3 or 4 hour drive of me that I haven't played, just because as soon as I hit a lull, I want to be okay, I'm heading up there this weekend and I'm playing that and banging that one out. So, I think that you got to have that balance. Otherwise, either it's too easy and then you find yourself saying, well, what now? Or I'm never going to get there. You get frustrated and you give up altogether. So I think it's important to have that.
Oh yeah, man. Totally. I like how you have backup quests in case you're bored. But
totally.
Yeah, I always tell people, and if you want to learn more about stuff like this, you check out menprovement.com. I have a free ebook that I wrote, which is, the science of success, hacking your habits, and how to achieve. And I always tell people, you set your big goals. You set your huge goals. I like to put them on my wall and sign them. I picked that up from Lewis Howes. But then you don't focus on those goals. You only focus on what you can do today to propel you one step forward, and you make your to-do list. That's my daily goal list, and all you do is focus on changing your lifestyle and automating automating habits into your life and automating things that you do daily that will make your goal happen naturally. And I like to call it subconscious success. And I'm actually planning on writing a book about that and programming your reticular activating system and your subconscious mind and all this stuff to make success and your goals just happen. And because that's pretty much everything we do is programs, and it's a really cool concept. So the first step would be to get that free ebook by opting in at MenProvement.com. But what about morning routines? Like, I'm big. I interviewed Jeff Sanders the other day about morning routines and how important they are. So I hope everyone who's listening has a morning routine. What's your morning look like?
So I usually try and get up at like 6:30. If I do that, it's going to be a good day. It's been kind of a struggle this week because I just got back from Asia. I'm a little jet lagged and I've been waking up at like 8 o'clock every morning, and I feel like I'm super behind the ball. So yeah, 6:30, I'll come down, I'll check emails. I'll do 15, 20 minutes of just making sure that I know what my day is going to look like. And then I'll make breakfast. And for me, breakfast is my trigger. In the past, I've had a difficult time with habits and, kind of those, especially like basic healthy habits, like drinking lots of water, exercising, making breakfast, those kinds of things. And I found that the days where I take 15, 20 minutes and make breakfast, all the other things fall into place. Those days I'm more likely to, drink a bunch of water. Those days I'm more likely to go to the gym. And it's all because once I cross one thing off my list that makes me feel good and I know is good for me, it makes me want to keep crossing off more and more things. And, a lot of people have, a very set routine that might include, meditation, exercise in the morning, breakfast, whatever. For me, it's just that one thing. And if I do that, I know the rest of the things are going to fall into place through the rest of the day.
Nice, man. Yeah, it's a core habit that it's like exercising. If you have the core habit of exercising, then you feel better throughout the day. You tend to eat healthier. You have more energy. It just, everything rolls off of it. Mine is cold showering and meditating. And I actually don't eat breakfast because I intermittent fast every day, which is something that I don't know. We talked about with Phil Jolette the other day about how it increases your mental clarity and all this. And I got to say, it's interesting because it really does for me. But you just got to find what's right for you.
Definitely. And that's kind of one of the things, like I tried a lot of different things, and that's the one thing I've kept coming back to. And I'm looking at, okay, like what days was I most productive last week? Oh, it was like Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Oh, crap. Those are the days that I made breakfast. And, that's what I found that is really worked in my life.
Cool, man. So how old is Location Rebel now?
Location Rebel is 3.5. So I officially launched it on July 26th, a little over 3 years ago.
And that's SeanOgle.com, right?
No. So that's Location 180. Location Rebel is the product, which is at locationrebel.com. Okay. So how old is Location 180, your website? Location 180 is almost 6 years. So I think it's May 9th. 2009 was when I started it. So it'll be 6 years here in May.
Nice, man. I couldn't imagine if I started my website in 2009. That'd be epic. But
it's crazy. But you're already ahead of the game. It's like you said, the best time to start it was, the day the internet was born. The second best time, today. So that kind of thing. Absolutely.
So yeah, if you don't mind answering these questions about financials, like how long did it take you to start making money on the site?
So I made my first dollar from the site in August of 2009. So a buddy of mine had written an ebook that had an affiliate program. I didn't even know what affiliate marketing was at the time. He gave me a copy of the book. I wrote a post about it. And like 3 weeks later, I opened up my ClickBank account and it's like $22.52 or something like that.
Isn't that amazing? So, how long was that again?
That was in August. So I started the site in May. So like 4 months.
Nice.
And then I would say I had my first significant amount of money, and that came in May of 2010. So almost a year later, I was in Bangkok and I was at a friend's house, and it was like 11 p.m. And Chris Guillebeau was getting ready to launch his empire building kit at 11 my time. And so I went out for coffee. I come back 5 minutes into the launch. I open up my email and I've made over $500 worth of commissions. Mm-hmm. And so that's when and that was from one blog post. My audience was still relatively small at that point. And that's when I was like, okay, there's totally something to this. And, from there, I kind of ramped up the affiliate marketing a little bit. I created my first product, Overcoming the Fear of Uncertainty, in September of 2010. So that was kind of my first big product launch. And then I created Location Rebel the next summer. And that's, definitely kind of the big driver for revenue on that site.
Cool, man. So if you don't mind saying, now 5 years later, what's the revenue looking like now?
A lot stronger. I mean, I made close to $250,000 last year.
Nice.
I do 2 sales a year of the product, where it's basically just promotion. I don't make it any less expensive, but I include a lot of bonuses. And every one of those has increased by 30 to 50% since I started doing that 2 years ago. So this year is already shaping up to be better than the last, and things have just kind of continued to grow.
No, it's really great, man. I appreciate you sharing that because it's really motivating for anyone listening.
Well, and it's one of those things, I'm always hesitant to share that on a lot of podcasts, and I never put it on my site because it's one of those things you don't want people to think that you're bragging or anything like that. But I do think it's important for people to understand that, hey, this is totally possible. I had so many people for so many years. They're like, you're an idiot. Why would you leave your cushy financial job?
Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking? You're never going to make any money. You're faking it, all that kind of stuff. And so, it's with hard work and a little bit of effort, I mean, good things can happen.
Absolutely. Do you think that entrepreneurship is the only true way to extreme wealth, $1 million years?
It's not the only way, but it's certainly I don't know if easiest way is the right word, but I think
the most probable way, starting your own business.
The most probable way. I mean, what are the chances you're going to become CEO of some, financial firm or hedge fund or something like that? I mean, probably not going to happen anytime soon. And those are the people that are making the, multi 7 million, salary or 7-figure salaries. So most of the entrepreneurs, most of the people I know with that kind of money started their own business. We'll put it that way.
Or if you get on the next Facebook and you're the first 100 employees, there you go.
Yeah.
But it's something to think about, that if one, I always say, if one man can do it, then you can do it. So it might take you 5 years from now, but if you don't start today, you're going to wish you started 5 years ago in 5 years in whatever it is. Maybe it's not a blog, maybe it's freelancing, maybe it's consulting. And maybe it's just taking the first step to figuring out what you want to do. So that's what I just want to leave you guys with. I got Sean on here to really motivate people to maybe start their own business because it worked for me. It's a grind, but it's a lot of fun. And do you have any last minute advice for anyone who's thinking about jumping into this ring?
Well, I think one of the coolest things that I found and I kind of realized is when I was, working for the financial firm, it was a small office. It was 4 of us. And I kept going to work every day being like, it doesn't matter if I work 110% effort or 10%. I'm getting paid the same and I'm building my boss's business. And once I started my own business, once I started Location 180, I realized I made that $20. That was mine. I got to keep that aside from what I had to give the IRS. But, that's all of those little wins add up and it just gets exciting. It's you make your first dollar, you get your first blog comment, you make your first product and get your first sale. You have your first 5-figure launch. I mean, all of those things are just such cool moments. And I never got that kind of satisfaction when I was working at a job. And so I think that, it's, understanding that you are in control of your life. And what you put into it, you're going to get out of it. I think that's the best part about entrepreneurship. And that's why I recommend everybody that has an interest in it or is unhappy doing what they're doing, give it a shot because it's had a huge impact on my life. It's had a huge impact on your life. It's had a huge impact on so many people I know's lives. I just know what can be done if you're willing to take a little bit of a chance.
Absolutely, man. You said it. You said it perfect. So before I leave you, do you have any fear or hesitation before you made the jump for anyone who does have that? Do you have any advice for overcoming that?
Oh, I mean, no matter what, you're going to have that kind of fear and apprehension and the questions and the what ifs. But, I talk about this a lot and there's kind of 3 phases. Well, first off, the only thing that you're afraid of is uncertainty. You're not afraid of spiders. You're afraid of the uncertainty surrounding whether or not people are going to bite you. You're not afraid of the dark. You're afraid of the uncertainty of what might be lurking in the shadows. So once you recognize that uncertainty is really your only fear, then you can start to break it down and start to, really realize like what the root of your fears are. And so I tell people there's kind of 3 phases of uncertainty. And the first one is fearing it. And 95% of people will stay in that kind of fear state. They'd rather have a life that's all right, not really what they want, not the perfect life, but they're too afraid to take a chance to make something happen. And that's where most people will stay. The second is overcoming it. That's when you're still terrified, but you take a chance and you do something anyway. So when I moved to Thailand, I was like overcoming that fear, but I was still terrified. I didn't know what was going to happen. And the third phase is embracing it. And that's where, as an entrepreneur, you look at, uncertainty as an asset, because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. You can make anything you want happen. And so to those people that are thinking about, taking a leap, maybe you've been apprehensive, maybe you're afraid, think about it in those terms. First, just start with overcoming it. Just do it anyway. And think about the worst case scenario, because the worst case scenario almost never happens. And even if it does, it's probably not as bad as you think it's going to be.
Awesome, man. I love it. And what's the future looking like for Location 180? You planning on settling down anytime soon?
No way. I mean, I did. I bought a house last year, but I'm still traveling 3 or 4 months out of the year. Portland's my home base, but I like moving around, and I like meeting readers in other places and seeing new places. So just kind of more of the same over here.
Cool, man. And then anything new business wise coming up?
I've got a few things that are in the works that I haven't really announced yet. I have one new product that's going to be coming out sometime in the next couple months that's all about my process for launching products, how to start from scratch and launch it to, big acclaim and success. So that's something I've been kind of beta testing with some people and having a lot of fun with. And so that's kind of the next most imminent thing.
Cool, man. I'm going to have to ask you about that afterwards. I appreciate this. This has been completely awesome, and I'm sure everyone... Yeah, man, this has been absolutely awesome. I'm sure everyone listening got so much out of this, so I appreciate it. Where can people find you?
So easiest way to find me is SeanOgle.com, SeanOgle. You can find me at Sean Ogle at Twitter. And if you're interested in, kind of taking the next step and taking a new business seriously, locationrebel.com. It's the best community I know of for people that are trying to build a lifestyle business that allows them to travel and do their own thing. And, I'd love to see you over there and answer any questions you got.
Thanks for listening, guys. I hope you enjoyed this show. And to learn more about Sean and what we just talked about, check out the show notes at menprovement.com/MPP026. But before you go, I want to tell you about something really exciting. We are officially opening the MenProvement Academy. It's going to be a year-long course aimed to build the perfect man. There will be 12 modules ranging from fitness, health, confidence, mental performance, sex, dating, and business stuff like we talked about today. We're not going to miss anything when it comes to building the perfect man, and it's going to be amazing. Each module will have step-by-step videos taking you from start to finish. There'll be exclusive podcasts, exclusive coaches exercises and coaching sessions, and more stuff like this. I promise you that in a year, when this course is finished, it will cost upwards of $1,000 or more. But we have decided to let guys join now while we're building it for an early bird special of only $50. This won't last for long, as the course price will rise each month as the content grows. And your $50 payment is a one-time payment that locks you in for life, no matter how much it costs in 2 years. If this program costs $10,000 in 10 years, which I'm going to make it that good that it actually might, you are still a member for only $50. So if you want to be part of the most life-changing course for men on the planet, head to menprovement.com/academy and opt in to be notified of the launch date. And if you're listening to this months late, go anyway, because you're still going to get a discounted price. I promise you that there is nothing like this in existence on the planet. This is what I visioned when I started menprovement.com, and I finally have the tools to build it. And I don't have to tell you that I'm going to over-deliver on this, but if you think this podcast or menprovement.com is good, the Academy is going to be on another level. So go check it out for more details at menprovement.com/academy.